Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite paranormal investigator. My name is Tim Sedano. This is Paranormal Insight, and today we're talking about, and I'll put that back up for you, the Mish Mosh. That is, we're talking about everything under the sun or moon, as the case may be. And it's just because we have so many things to talk about today's Mish Mosh, and that's why I call it that. I'm going to back my mic off a little bit. I think we're a little hot on this end. So let's start with the things in the sky. And we're talking about this fella right here, or lady, or whatever it is. I don't know what you call celestial bodies. But this is Three Eye Atlas, as seen by NASA. You'll notice it looks nothing like the globulous, very fantastical starships that a lot of folks have put up there in recent days. Now, that isn't to say that maybe they're onto something, but for my money, I mean, as a guy who worked at NASA for a little bit, and hey, good afternoon, Heidi. How's it going? Why did they name it 3I? It is the third interstellar object that we have documented to date. I mean, probably not the first one ever in history, third one ever in history, but there was one eye, which was the Muamu. I'm mispronouncing that. The one Hawaii, they named it after the Hawaiian king or something like that. Then there was a second one called, and that one went over my head. I didn't even notice it. It was called Borski or something like that. And then there's 3I Atlas, and I don't know if we have a special name for this one yet. But they're out there. It's a rock. I worked at NASA. I know what this stuff looks like. Am I an authority? Enough. I think so. I mean, you can only work at NASA and not absorb pretty much anything for so long. So, for my money, 3I Atlas is a rock. And I have something else. Nope, that's going backwards, Tim. I have this fun thing to show you. This is an animated, I'll blow it up for you, the animation of the path of 3I Atlas. That's the blue thing. It almost hits Mars. Oh, barely misses it. Went behind the sun. It just came out right now. And this is its expected path. And it'll barely miss Jupiter, as you can see by that animation. I'll let it loop for you. But if this is an invasion, it hasn't made the right corrections to be invasive. If it's going to attack us, it would do it pretty much at that midpoint, which is right about here. And I can't rewind this, it's a GIF. But you'll notice that it comes closer to Mars than it does to Earth on its pass. So it barely misses Mars as it first comes into the inner solar system. And there's near miss. Okay, so that would have been a cool invasion point. You circle Mars, you set up a base, and then you don't even have to wait that long. And you just launch against the orbit, following my cursor, and boom, you hit Earth. This thing is trucking on by. Maybe it could be like a cargo plane, but with its behavior and what's happening to it, especially when it went behind the sun for us, which was right about there, it actually lost pieces of itself, big chunks that flew into the sun, or into that direction anyway. So for my money, it's a rock. I know it's fun to say, oh, it's a spaceship, and oh, it's got aliens on it, and they're going to solve all of our problems. I am not convinced of that. And Heidi kind of semi-backs my play. Not really. with this statement. I thought she was, but I sped read it, and I kind of glanced over. She says, and I will put this up there for everyone to read. I saw a comment yesterday that it resembled third eye. Like 3I. I get it. That's funny. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, if it resembles anything, it's a giant glowing rock. It's a comet, I'm sorry. Or is behaving like it should. As a rock tumbling through space, it probably gathered all kinds of icy garbage on its surface, and it's jettisoning this stuff as it's expected to. If it's elongated, it didn't really. I didn't see that. It looked rather globule, not globular. I'm sorry, semi-spherical. Everyone's been expanding it like moo 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 moo. I'm so sorry to all my Polynesian friends out there for not getting that one right. But it was. I think it's just standard rock size. Everyone's been given it an elongated shape, but apparently it doesn't look like that. So, for my money, it's a rock. If I'm wrong and get invaded, I will happily admit to that, assuming I can go back on the air. Okay, let us move on with other things in the Mish Mosh. Let's talk aliens. That's always a fun topic. And first, we're going to talk about alien species. Now, this is an AI generated piece from somebody else. I'm sorry, I don't have credits. I don't, because I'm just bad that way. But various alien species. This one is the Nordics. And I'll put them up there so you can see them a little bit clearer. So we have the Nordics, and then we have this. Now you'll notice, and I've seen this notated, if you will. I've seen it notated that the Nordics have the larger eyes. Like they're like double the size of our irises. And they're kind of, well, if you lived up in space a lot, you'd be pretty white too. I'm just saying. And then there's this another version. It looks like the female version of the Blue Man Group with the blue makeup on to me. Another AI rendition. I did another AI rendition when I was talking about my UFO dream / abduction, whatever the heck that was. Also, the AI made them all female. I found that interesting. Or quasi-androgynous. I'm seeing hints of breasts and stuff like that. So, very feminine take on all this. But so those are the Nordics, and then we have the reptilians. And I thought this one was kind of entertaining because this guy kind of reminds me of an iguana. And the funny thing is, I don't remember the reptilians ever being described as having Spock ears. That's just me. I haven't heard that. I don't know about the nictitating membranes in the eyes. I've heard both. Our reptiles here, yeah, I know, yikes. Our reptiles here on this planet do have that to one degree or another, but I want you to also take a quick, I'm going to zoom back out again. Take another look. You can't see my cursor, can you? But take a look at the little bulb, little patch of skin by the neck there, below the jawline, on the neck. It looks like an iguana patch. You know those patches iguanas have right there? Good times. And they've also been said, oh, they're the second ones ruling the world and all that fun stuff. Well, they've been saying that forever. Now, when it comes to alien species out there that people have witnessed, these are the ones that get reported the most. There was an LA Times article because these guys were crawling around sewers. And I think there was a sketch depiction of such a thing. There was an expedition launched in Los Angeles to look for these guys. And this is back in the 20s or 30s or something like that. And then, oh, hey, look, we're building a new subway. Or, hey, look. They just diverted. It was weird. It was suspicious for sure. But that's not to say that these are necessarily aliens. I mean, people have been floating the idea that these are remnants of an older civilization that had been here on Earth, or at least originated here on Earth from the dinosaur era. And if you think about it, if you have all those billions of years of, dinosaur, larger reptilian creature evolutions, okay, I'll stick with that. It's entirely feasible that at least one or two of them are going to develop a more advanced hominid base to them. It's not the most functional, but it is far more functional to walk around four legs foraging and not really think about much except eat, sleep, and maybe mate once in a while. So, whether these are distant cousins of ours, fellow Earthers, if you will, It's entirely possible. But again, we're talking about types of species. So let's dive back into that. Yep, hit the right button, Tim. There you go. So we have this guy, and then we have the Greys. Ooh, I like this one especially because, um, oh, I'm being asked a question. Come from. I gotta put this up because that is an intriguing question. So Heidi asked me, what or where? Oh, okay, interesting. Right. Okay, so Heidi had an experience where she saw these people in Jedi robes. I have also had an experience where I've seen people in a person, well, one person anyway, in Jedi robes. That's how I described it. That was the closest thing. Were they grays? No. If you and I saw the exact same thing, and I'd like to ask Heidi, did they have especially long fingers? Because that was a key identifier for me. And we'll wait for her to respond to that. But what do you think the Jedi people, as we're calling them now, apparently, with the or the long legs, long arms lady comes from? I guess you're referring to my experience, or perhaps your own. But so Heidi, first off, long fingers, super long digits, or did you see that? For me, well, that goes back to Carl, and I blanked on his last name. Oh, Tim, you're horrible. Okay. She says her experience was that she saw them at light and at a distance apparently. But they were wearing Jedi like robes. They were super tall. Were they super tall, like over 6'5", maybe? Is my next question to you, Heidi. As she answers that, we'll touch on my thing. So Carl Winter. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm so mad at myself for not knowing that. But anyway, off the top of my head. But our little gray friends are just gonna hang out there for a second. Um, yeah, they look to be tall. She says. Okay, I'll put that up there as proof. That's what she said. Okay, so if they were the same species as the one I saw, this is also the one the Carl. So we'll call him Carl for now. Saw when he was at the Air Force, in the Air Force rather, fellow airman. All right, we don't have a call, unfortunately. I've always wanted it to be boom though, but anyway, um, they are a species that doesn't get recognized a lot, despite the fact that they are apparently part of the um. Hey, Z Sun Dragon says hello. Hello, Z Sun Dragon. How's it going? Um, they're in the chat. P.S. So the people, the two people I saw a kid and what I assumed was the mother. Again, hint of the rest under the robes at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Evan, you know I didn't look close enough at your picture. I'm sorry about that. Um, But anyway, so yeah, they were super tall. They had the long fingers. They dressed in Jedi robes. Are they aliens? They match almost exactly, if not exactly, what Carl saw. And I meant to put them on my slideshow, but yes, I thank you, Heidi. I did pick up on that. I'm not very sorry, Kevin. I didn't recognize you from the jump. But anyway, so yeah, aliens, absolutely, and they're part of that coalition of aliens that are working with us to one degree or another. Um, Whether they're seeking asylum here on Earth, I'm not too sure, but they're passable enough as humans if they don't have. Then the thing is, they have. I'm going to zoom in on our gray guy here a little bit. They have the gray's big ol' eyes, but they look, and I'm going to probably. They look like these guys, probably closer to these guys with the bigger eyes. Um, and they're between 6'5" and 6'6" as adults, or I'm sorry, 6'5" and 7 foot as adults, maybe 6'9", I don't know. But they're freaking tall. I mean, she towered. Drinking time. Okay, have fun. But they towered over their men in black uh, escorts that I saw. So, yeah, are they alien? Yeah, for sure. But the question was, where do you think the Jedi come from? Oh, they were reported to come from somewhere similar to. Actually, did they even say somewhere near Alpha Centauri, if I remember correctly? That's kind of a quasi fuzzy guess on my part. Um, I don't know if they ever told. Yeah, yeah. The I saw was tall. Yeah, so mine too. She was like she was easily 6'5", 6'9", something like that. Very tall. But yeah, I think there is said to be from the Alpha Centauri region, give or take. That is one of the closer stars to us, if not the closest. So let's get back to other alien species. We have our gray friend here. This is reportedly one of the ones, I think it was called Silent Dave or Silent. It wasn't Silent Bob. That's someone else. But he was reportedly. Oh, sorry, my nose itches today. He was reportedly the one that kind of talked and survived a crash or a landing or I don't know what happened to him, how he got there, but you can see he's on a bed. Now, I'm not sure in this depiction if he is supposed to be a dead individual or a living individual. His eyes are open, so I'm going to assume alive. But this is the guy, purportedly now, who had the ability to speak to one degree or another. And he's also the one who ate vegetables and ice cream. He could subsist on those here on Earth because his food supply on the ship was apparently destroyed. But I'm sorry, I'm reading a text here. Kevin found you. Few of my spirit guides. Okay, I'm gonna put this up, Kevin. That's pretty cool. Few of my spirit guides are alien slash human looking. I have visited their lion world in visitations and astrally. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'd like to know what their animal life looks like. I know it's a strange question. It's like, do they have cats and dogs like we do, or are they primarily like lizard versions of cats and dogs, or are they horse versions of cats and dogs? I'm just throwing it out there. But anyway, so as Kevin answers that question, um, I will wait. So one intriguing thing about this particular photo is we can see the uniform right there. You can barely make it out. If I can undo this, ah, ha, ha, and I think you should be able to see my cursor. Yay! So there's a neckline, a collar right there where my cursor is of the uniform. The red, you can almost make out half a seam or a zipper or something right there, which is interesting. I didn't think they had that. Yeah. And I mean, I've never seen an alien depicted as having the uniform on. I thought that was pretty cool, personally. But I digress. Let's, is it full screen? No, I'm gonna go back to full screen. Ha ha ha. Sorry. Let's have fun on the air with the thing. Anyway, so as we nope. I didn't mean to do. Let's undo that and hit play. There we go. So as we move on through our species list, let us check in with Kevin. Just cats, big ones. Okay, just cats, big ones. I asked about animal life on the other planet, and they just said big cats. That's pretty cool. Well, if you have a planet or a system named Lion, you kind of expect that. But I digress. And they don't hunt them, they eat technology based food. Technology based food? Like printed food? Is that what you're talking about? That's interesting. This is what he said to me. That's intriguing. wow. Actually, accidentally put yours up, Heidi. Anyway, so let's move on with our list as Kevin continues to answer those questions. Next up, we have this funky fella. He's a, I don't know what he is, but he looks like a, I've seen this character before. And I say that because this is the doorbell alien. We've all seen it. The doorbell alien. He's the one poking around, and he gets really, really close. You can see how his eye works, and yeah, pretending a lion world. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me interrupt this briefly, as Kevin. I guess I don't know what lion world means. Are you talking about upright walking cat people, that type of thing? Or because I've never heard of lion world. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm a ghost and phantoms and stuff guy primarily. I do dip into the alien thing because of my interest in space and technology, but and alien life forms in general. Big Star Trek fan, in case you missed it. But so I've not heard of Lion World though. That's a new one on me. Let's get back to the doorbell alien while Kevin continues to educate us on the Lion World, because I've never heard of it. That's pretty cool. So here's the doorbell alien. Now, the doorbell alien behaved rather oddly. Let's put it that he behaved oddly for me. I do study behavioral science a little bit. It's part of my job as a paranormal investigator to recognize behavioral patterns. Um, I'm so out of the loop. Even Heidi knows what he's talking about. I'm so sorry, Kevin. Please inform me. Um, okay, both regular and human line looking. Okay, hold on. He's explaining this to me right now. It's a. Oh, okay. I guess I have to look at it. It's a. Oh, it does cut off right there. All right. So he gave me a thing. Some of my friends have seen other cats, but all I see are the lions. Both regular and human lion looking. Oh, okay. Another dimension. Ah, that makes more sense. Okay, so which is interesting. I'd like to let's put doorbell alien guy away for 2 seconds, or okay, longer than 2 seconds. Let's be honest, but for a little bit while we talk about that interdimensional stuff. Now, in my theory, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a couch scientist, but a scientist nonetheless in my own right. I do paranormal investigations, paranormal psychology, paranormal behaviorism, and most of it's based on human, the human base that we are and that type of thing. But when you dive into the whole alien thing and species we've encountered, that's kind of why I'm going over this today. Is that we have experienced collectively as humans throughout time, I'll say. That's why I said it weird like that, because I didn't know how to put it. But throughout time, we've seen all kinds of different things that kind of resemble other different things. Let's talk about the Hopi. They said they saw the ant people. I'll get to the mantoids in a minute, which this guy kind of resembles, except he has humanoid eyes. But like manti here on Earth, it could be that one spot that just kind of always follows you no matter where you look. I don't know. Anyway, when I say this guy, I mean this guy. But as we look at things, we see that other species, perhaps in this dimension or outside this dimension, as Kevin has alluded to, other species within our entire globe have seemed to have some sort of capital placement. They are the apex of evolution. Not necessarily the apex predator, but the apex of evolution. Kevin's lion world. I've heard the Hopi Indians ant people or mantis people because they kind of look like mantises to me. They're just anyway. The which makes sense that they call them ant people because that was the closest thing. But had they ever seen a mantis? I don't think there were many out there in their neck of the woods where the Hopi were. So ant would make sense, but mantis is probably closer. And the depictions kind of match manti types a little bit more. But it seems to be that various species hold various apex evolutionaries. That is to say, for us here on Earth, for the most part, we are the dominant evolutionary species, evolved species. Words are escaping me today. Always do on a Thursday. Anyway, on say this guy's world, and I'll put it back on this guy's world. The closest thing I can get is to irradiate a dog. I don't know what the heck this thing's supposed to even closely resemble. He has like a bug-ish kind of thing with the eyes, but he's got a very prominent nose here. Very prominent nose. I'll escape. Nope, that didn't work. I'll escape again. So he's got a very prominent nose, and the mouth looks like it has a jumble of teeth. And I might add, very close to ours, squared. Might be missing a couple. I don't know. Some have classified this guy as a shapeshifter or a skinwalker or something along those lines because he has so many humanoid things. But the thing that really bugs me about this guy, almost monkey like, yeah, I can attune to that. Sorry, I'll get to Kevin's comment in a minute. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. So we have this guy. He's kind of a cross between a bug and a monkey. Weird combination. But I will have you take a close look at something else. The commonalities with a human: 2 eyes, nose. Fascinating, isn't it? So, if this is indeed an alien creature, and if this is indeed to be taken at face value, personally, I think it's a puppet. Because it looks familiar. I know I've seen this guy in a movie somewhere, but I can't really lock it down. I've been searching the internet like crazy. This kind of looks like this guy. I had AI do a comparison. It came up with Mac and Me. It came up with the ET guy. Not even freaking close. I mean, kind of ET-ish, if you want to go, the guy who hung out with Elliot for a bit. But not quite. Not quite. Anyway, let us continue. I'll hide him for a moment. We'll dive back into our presentation momentarily as Kevin illuminates us further. It always fascinates me when others have seen what I have seen. Huge castles exist there, and they live side by side with the four-legged ones, cat people, I assume. They are fed by the people. Oh, that's good. And have their own. I'm going to show that one. Show sleeping quarters like a huge barn-like house with gates. And TGE for the four-legged ones. Okay. Sherry's on. Hey, Sherry, how's it going? How's it going? And then Heidi responds. So anyway, the lion world sounds really fascinating. And it doesn't really surprise me all that much that kind of thing's happening in the background. But let's dive back into okay, so Sherry, get ready for a surprise. I've been talking about the doorbell alien, and here he is. Okay, surprise over. Here he is. We touched on the Greys. We touched on the Nordics, and not the TG. Oh, the not TG. I don't know what that means. Okay. I'll let you fix. Okay. No, sorry. I got caught up in the chat again. So we talked about the Nordics, the Greys, and the Reptilians. And then we touched on this guy who's kind of a crossbreed between a bunch. I never heard this one described by anyone. I never heard that this could be, perhaps this could be a animal-like creature that was left behind from an alien zoo. I don't know. We can dive into all kinds of weird possibilities of what this guy is. But let's move on to other species we have on the record, so to speak. We have the gray. Here we go. Creepy Mantis guy. Let's get a close-up on him. And this is why I say, this is what Hopi we're talking about. It describes, their images describe the mantis more clearly. And again, this is an AI rendering. For some reason, he's got an arm back here that's all weird. And he's got him on his, like a little forearm things, which I guess it would happen. But anyway, fun things. So we have the insectoid or the mantoid, and they've been being discussed quite a bit recently. Gotcha. Sorry, there was a typo that I mistook for an actual term, but in the chat. But thanks for the correction. But we've seen these guys mostly in the Hopi legend. Now, they have also been discussed rather recently. And as it's so weird. They all get cycled through one way or another. It's like, oh, we saw the Nordics this time. Oh, we saw the insectoids this time. So, the insect species creep me out. That's good. That's okay. Insects aren't for everybody. But I don't know. There's also a version of this described by an abductee who was regressed, and they saw something surprisingly a little bit more similar to the doorbell alien guy. And the way they described the alien was that he was more ant-like, which I found very fascinating. However, he did not have 6 legs. He was not even ant-shaped per se. I mean, they had the head and they had the abdomen, right? But he had 4 legs, and they were kind of intercrossed, like the 4 legs were the back legs and the back legs were the 4 legs. That's how their anatomy operated. Anyway, sorry. As far as anatomy goes, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But apparently these guys made it work somehow. And they were apparently the commander of the ship that these guys were abducted by too, which is yep. So anyway, doorbell guy has a presence, but he's not in the primes of the reptilians and Rooks and the Greys. So back to insect guy here. Again, though, I will say, different alien races, be they on this dimension or existing in other dimensions, as Kevin has experienced, all have basically the same thing. There's a species that we have a cousin of here on Earth that has reached apex evolution, or is at least approaching apex revolution. They're the highest evolution on that world, presumably. They're the ones making contact, reaching out, saying, hey, in their scary ways sometimes. But nonetheless, we still see that happening throughout various experiences we've had over eons. Eons, literally like millennia. Something to consider. And I also want to point out once again that This isn't a weird Cyclops creature. This isn't someone without some very familiar things. Two eyes, something resembling a nose, and he's got pinchers there, but he's still got a mouth. So our basic anatomical form has merit in the universe, or at least this galaxy, which I find super fascinating. It's like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. But I digress. So we've seen our alien guys perform some really astounding things or influence humans in very astounding ways, including flying around on their own, usually within their own ship, which says to me they probably have some gravity manipulation capabilities, which wouldn't surprise me at all. As far as laser beams shooting out of them, I don't know about that. AI came up with this picture. It had a little bit of fun with it, but it was still a fun, mysterious looking thing. Oh, Kevin says something interesting here, that the insectoids strike him as magical, and they chatter a lot in their language. Well, I would too, actually. Oh, that's sorry. Skip ahead one. Let's go back to our insect guy. And when I view them remotely, they just seem, super talkative. They have a lot to say. I bet. Nothing you would understand, though. It's like music and bleep bleep sounds. I get it. Sherry puts out, I did a meditation one time to see your guide, and Nine showed up as a mantis being. Completely freaked me out at first. Yes. Visualizations. Okay, that's fascinating. That's just fascinating. So, I mean, again, these guys have been popping up in the news. Not the news, not the mainstream, certainly, but independent news and in the more paranormal / supernaturally based news cycles that happen when it comes to alien encounters. These guys have been popping up an awful lot, and I find that very fascinating. So let us move on to... Okay, that's buggy. Sorry, I'm going backwards again. Okay, let's talk about interactions with humans. So I picked this one out of the myriads I had access to because it reminded me of the Carl, and I forget his last name. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Carl had a very similar experience, although he wasn't a little girl in the field. He was a grown airman in the field, and he interacted with the tall whites, is what he called them. And I wish I included a picture of them, but I didn't, because I'm a fool. If I can integrate it right now, I will. But no guarantees. But with the tall, instead of being pointy-head gray people, gray aliens, which is something we've actually seen reported, actually. It was with the tall whites, and it was on at an airfield. And apparently, the brass of the airfield was totally familiar with what was going on out there. And they just kind of left them alone, interacted with them briefly. The brass did, and because they just had powers in technology. And I like this one because it includes, if I can make it happen. Oh, I hit it again. There we go. Get my cursor up there. See the little guy back here with my cursor? It includes that guy. So yeah, they were young there in Carl's experience, which is fascinating. In fact, he rescued one, and he got a big thank you. They made a ceremony out of it out in the desert, as much as they could. He was driving along in his Jeep, the story goes, and he says, I'm driving along, and suddenly one of their ships just kind of parks right in front of my Jeep. I have to slam on the brakes, Like another ship lands, and these. I think he described them as being kind of boxy, but they're basically troop transports. So it just zoom, kind of comes in out of nowhere, and then a second one lands, and all these people get out. And there's the little one he saved. And she runs up to him, and I guess they're okay with hugging because she wraps her arms around his legs and gives him a, like, like kids do. Like, kids are the same all over the universe, apparently, or at least in this galaxy, and gives him a hug. And then lets go, does one of these, and runs back to his mom. And mom was apparently the high commander of this detachment that were interacting with Earth military. And the mom thinks to him, "Thank you very much. It is our custom to hold ceremony and ceremoniously, via ceremony, thank you properly." And so all of us thank you. And then he hears it as a group, "Thank you." And there's a slight bow from all of them. "Okay, we got to go now." And that was it. And they all got back in their ships and took off. That's one of my favorite encounters of his. It was pretty great. But I digress. Let us move on. So that is the other reason for including this particular picture is that we have been interacting with these other people for a very long time. We're just now getting around to really kind of seriously documenting it, which is fascinating to me. So let us move back on to... Nope, did I hit the wrong button? I think I hit the wrong button. Whoop, there we go. Spaceships. The different kinds of spaceships. What have we seen in the sky? Well, let me tell you about that. So AI again rendered this up and thought it was cool. I'll show you a larger version of it. And it is cool. They kind of got a lot of them pieced together, surprisingly. That one kind of looks like the Enterprise to me. In the center, but right here. But with the dingly parts. But other than that, I think they did okay. This is AI's rendition of various vehicles. There's a better slide. I think it's next. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so this is the comprehensive guide. I think it's taken from a declassified government thing. It could be, and probably is, either iCar or MUFON's older template of what was out there. And we see a bunch of stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of things happening here. And we've all seen these reports and pictures of these things that have been captured back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And they even have, you can't see it too well. Let's see if I can zoom in. Hey, I can't zoom in. Where it was recorded. So 52, they saw this thing. 47, they saw these things. January 67, they saw, okay, that sombrero looking thing to me. Norway, they saw this thing. And so on and so forth. Trent, USA, they saw the classic saucer with the flat top. Gloucestershire, right? 69. So all these different craft are out there. And it kind of speaks a little bit to Bob Lazar's experience that they had various types of craft on base, which is just amazing to me. Now, it also begs the question, like, wow, if each one of these things is an example of a different alien species, and I can see similarities maybe between this one, and this one, and even that one, but it's kind of in this one too. But it is there's I count at least, if we take similarities into account, I pick up on about 7 or 8, maybe 7 different species, maybe 6. This one's kind of strange. This is over Lawrenceville, Illinois in 64. This is just the lower half of it, but they think there was a dome up there. And then there's the 54 on Trinidad Island. Oh, yeah, that's a big time case. And that's a classic saucer, too. Could it be this thing? Yeah, it could be. And then there are the wedges, the deltas. It's Mallorca, 1950. And it went through a wormhole. That's a great case, actually, if you ever read up on it. That's kind of what it looked like. And it kind of also resembles this a little bit. But they've been literally seen all over the world. All over the world. And it is beyond intriguing to me. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Good times. Good stuff. I'm going to get into the cylinder shapes, Kevin. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a good pick. Uh, Kevin complimented me on my pictures. He's baffled always by the cylinder-shaped ones mostly viewed. Yes, that is true, and I'll get into that in just a moment. In fact, it might be the next slide. I am wrong. I'm still wrong. We're looking at various UFOs still, but it fascinates me that we have all these sightings, all these strange craft bolting all over the place, including but not limited to the rods. I've seen the rods too myself. I caught a picture of one. I've shared it on the show before. I should have included that here too, but alas, I didn't. Um, but the cylinder ones are interesting. Kind of leads me into the next part almost. Almost. I keep hitting the wrong button. I'm so sorry. And that is the Secret Space Program. Well, that's supposed to be a secret space program, but AI doesn't always get it right. Um, and further leads us into what we have available to us here on Earth. We're still publicly using rocket engines, jet engines, and stuff like that, but some guy hacked into NORAD or Pentagon or something way back then. And yes, I should have included my. Makes me think they spin a lot. Oh, it could well be. But let's look at, and this is called the USS Helen Cotter, and this was actually taken from the CAC files. The guy wasn't even looking at he wasn't even trying. He just said, I'll give it a whirl. And he was able to get into some very high-end, very top secret stuff. Helen Cotter, just so you know, was an actual general, and I think he's mentioned in the Majestic 12 documents. And while the cylinder shape, as Kevin just noted in the thing, it seems to be the most documented one. Actually, the triangle and the saucer are probably more regarded, more noticed, at least in my neck of the woods out here in the U.S., but also in England and Spain, of all things. We've also seen the wedges. That was one of the first UFO things ever reported. But let's get back to Helen Cotter here and the Solar Warden Space Fleet. This was, again, lifted from the Pentagon back in 1988, I think, or 84 maybe. I can't recall. No, 88. Anyway, it had a spec of this ship, and it wasn't as clearly outlined as this, but it had a spec of this vessel that was human built, that had light speed capability, and that's kind of what these geodesic things are here. And you'll notice slightly this sketched out little bubble around both sides, and that they can travel back and forth at faster than light speeds. Yeah. And what was originally put together was that, okay, we did have spaceships capable of this, and we've heard other whistleblowers, not just the congressional ones, but the ones who told the story before the whistleblowing thing even happened, really, who risked their everything, their entirety of their, not only their reputation, but their personal, reputation. Okay, that's the best way to put it. Professional and personal reputations to tell their stories. And this is one of the craft that are mentioned, not only in the documents that were hacked into, but by other reliable, plausible. uh, I say plausible, but I, I use the wrong word there. But anyway, it's because my brain is just a little goofy today. The time change, man. I don't know if you have it where you're at, but I have it here, and it still messes me up. So anyway, these ships were apparently capable of light speed. There was a story that I have. Oh yeah, yeah. That's he has a question I've always wanted answered. Apparently, according to some who have actually researched the thing, Star Trek didn't go too far off, but Star Wars, when they go into hyperspace, they actually came closer to the proposed theoretical reality of it. But here let's get into this one more time, a little bit further. So we have the Helen Carter and a few others. Apparently, there were 8 planned, that are about as long as an aircraft carrier and carries about as many people. Apparently, had a cargo or flight deck. And here's where my part of the story comes in. When I was at NASA, we were in transition. The Navy and the Navy intelligence were part of NASA for a very long time. We transitioned over to being under Air Force control and protection. And while we were yes, yeah, oh, good, okay, talked about time change, good stuff. While we were I was at lunch. I was in the commissary. In fact, I was late back to my shift because I overheard this very cool story where the newly uh, outfitted Air Force guys were sitting there. And they weren't outfitted, but I mean, what I'm saying, they were new to their position, to their posting. Oh, my nose is just killing me today. Sorry. Um, but he tells this story. He says, "Yeah, man, I was at Vandenberg before this, and I heard the craziest story in the world. And I told this story here on the show before, but I'll tell it again." So this guy says, this SP, mean looking dudes, security dudes are always so mean looking, and they wear the hat a little more forward, and they got the gun and the belt and everything. Anyway, and they have to eat with their weapons on. I found that a little intimidating personally. It was still pretty cool. But so he says, "Yeah, the craziest story, man. 2 SPs were walking, that's what we call them, security patrol in the Air Force, not MPs." So 2 SPs are walking the line on, I think it says the Eastern Gate, which doesn't sound right to me, but I digress. I probably misremembered. It's probably like the Western Gate, but anyway. And this is at a time where the the space shuttle runway, because Vandenberg's the auxiliary runway, in case something goes haywire or the weather's bad when their space shuttle was trying to return. So they had the supersonic runway that was super long, and they even extended it a little bit further for the space shuttle to land there as an auxiliary site. So he says, "Yeah, these 2 SPs are walking along that side of things, and they have a little small cluster of warehouses out there, and by a bunch of, I think he said there was a rock formation nearby, like rocks jutting out of the desert, basically. But and it's a pretty rocky area if you've ever been out there, so it's not too hard to imagine that. I digress. So they're walking along, and they said they kind of just walked at it through some sort of field, maybe. But the way they described it was, if you've ever seen those traffic lights that have the green light, sometimes all the lights, but usually the green light is only visible at a certain angle. Well, that's what he says happened here. They walk in, and whoosh, suddenly they are able to visualize this thing. He described it almost exactly like this. Geodesics on both sides, very long, and having a little cargo bay here. And So that was crazy to me. It's like, wow, that's neat. So I continue listening to them. I'm at least 10 minutes for my late for my shift, and I don't care because this story's awesome. And they say they witnessed these dudes, and they're, if someone said, were they little gray men trying to mess with him a little bit? And he says, no, they were humans. I mean, working the warehouses, and they didn't even seem to, either they didn't see it because we didn't see it until we got at the right angle, or they were part of the operation that dealt with that. And very much like the picture, and I'll put it back up again. It keeps yo-yoing here. If you look very carefully, see if I can zoom in. Yeah, they actually had the flag and the name of the ship there. I don't know if it was Hill and Cotter, but he definitely recognized the flag. This SP. So he continues and says, yeah, they watch these people pushing, and they're all wearing white hazmat suits or Soko suits or something close to that. They have to protect themselves from something, or they're loading dangerous cargo of some sort, and they're on these big pallets, and they were pushing them in to this airplane hangar that had the doors like barely open, just wide enough for these carts to get through. And they were pretty organized too. One would come out, one would come in, and it was just a consistent train trying to move these crates inside this airplane hangar. And they couldn't really see inside the hangar, but every once in a while they see a blue flash, and then a corresponding blue flash up on the ship in the cargo area. I'll zoom in yet again. See if I can. Yeah, in the cargo area, they see a corresponding blue flash. So he says, yeah, and he reported it back to his boss later on because as soon as they got close enough to inspect, everything disappeared again, including the men. No flashes, nothing. Everything suddenly, it's like they moved out of that focal range of that whatever shield this thing is casting, and that was their assumption. So they report it, and the boss says, "Oh man, gives him one of those not agains kind of a thing, without saying it, but it was implied just in his behavior. Okay, this stays added report. We don't need any strange investigations happening at this time. We get the shuttle coming in a couple of weeks. Apparently, the shuttles were coming in, and we don't need this kind of crap. So bury it. It never happened. We'll strike it from any written logs. Burn any associated evidence. It never happened." And they were dumbfounded. Like, wow. Oh yeah, yes sir. They went with it, and but can't erase human memory effectively without raising a lot of questions, especially. Um, so they buried it for a bit. And a couple weeks later, the CEO, or no, a couple weeks later, the guy was working the desk because they had rotated. Apparently, he was writing out a report, and two other SPs come in, and they make the same report. You're never going to believe this. We saw this big long thing. It had an American flag on it, and it seemed like they were loading or unloading cargo. Cargo. Yeah. They were taking these crates out of the hangar, which is opposite what the first team saw. And so it was the same thing too. Blue flash corresponding blue flash, but in reverse from the ship to the ground. And they were just restacking all this cargo, crates, and it's like, oh, that's weird. So they, the door was closed over. It was completely latched. So the guy writing the report, who made the report the first time, said, was able to overhear the bulk of this conversation. It was like, okay, never happened. Erase all evidence or burn it or destroy it. Any evidence you collected. And if anyone asks you about this, you know nothing. So yes, sir, they salute, they about face, and they're out. Well, the first guy who's making the reports, who's filling out his reports for the week, runs up and catches up to the other guy and says, I saw the same thing. But the second team, they are scared out of their minds for the first time. They haven't had enough time to really kind of sit with it. So he says, "Yeah, I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about, sir. Sorry, I got to get back to, patrol." Okay, good man. So he's forced to completely drop it, but not before relaying the story to someone at one point where the airman I heard told that story to a couple of his colleagues. I was 30 minutes late to my shift just to hear that story, and to this day it was worth it. Didn't cost me anything. I got yelled at a little bit, but case raw, worth it. So they saw this thing. Makes you wonder how long we've had the tech. Yeah, denial is a wonderful thing, or plausible deniability anyway. So, if we've been seeing these cylinder things throughout history, and we have, I mean, going way, way back, we've seen them. Was it us doing some time travel, or was it similar technology that we just kind of said, hey, I bet that could work, or we can make that work, or who knows? But I digress. All this is complete speculation. We just don't truly know yet. I'm convinced it'll all be disclosed one day. But moving on. Oh, I hit the wrong button again. Moving. Nope. There we go. Nope. Is that the last one? That can't be the last one. There it is. Okay. Apparently that is the last one in the thing. Did I get there already? Wow, I banged through that super fast. I tell you what, let's take a little bit of a break here. We'll be back right after station identification and some, stuff. I'll see you in a bit. That'll be about 180 seconds. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest.
Long ago in the ancient world, the Tribus Omnis Lux, later known as the Tridents, were celebrated heroes, defenders of humanity against unspeakable monsters. Today, they continue that sacred duty in secret, hunting the dark evils that lurk just beyond the shadows. They are the Trident of Light.
Follow us on Instagram at paranormal.insight. Stay informed on upcoming shows, ask questions, and see what chilling paranormal stories we're following. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at paranormal_insight. Click the live tab to see our latest videos. I got off weirdly there. Welcome back. My name's Tim Sedano, and this is Paranormal Insight. So let's talk a little bit more about the strange things in the Mish Mosh. We have alien critters. We have critters. I shouldn't say that. Alien people and species. They're strange ships. I mean, how often are they popping out a new version or something? Because they seem to change, like, at least every 5 to 10 years. It's like computers. They upgrade the OS every 5 months. It's crazy. And then there's our own space program, so-called secret space program, to consider. And then there's 3i Atlas thing. And let's go back to a comment Kevin made earlier, where he says 3i Atlas went viral, and it did. People jumped on that. Oh, it's another interstellar, something or other that we have to worry about, and that was a large concern for a lot of people. There was also that thing where they thought, and someone out there, please correct me because I know I'm getting this wrong. Moamu, Momamo. I can't remember, man. I'm so sorry. The first one that came through, One Eye Atlas, was oddly shaped. It was long. There was, oh, it's a leftover, starship or something. We saw weird little things on it that were too square not to be artificial. And it made it pretty close past Earth. It did. But do we truly have enough evidence to back that up? Because a lot of the stuff we saw was um, enhanced, drawn on, not by me, but by someone who has a similar set of skills as me in when it comes to creating fantasy through art. I'm a filmmaker, and I also work with a lot of graphic arts stuff in that thing. So, Kevin gave me this. I gotta laugh. I can't remember what it's called, and I can't really look it up in the middle of the show either. So I need your help out, everyone out there in cyberspace or whatever, wherever you are, on the chat. Oh, I'm a little loopy right now. Only just tired, not like on anything, but because of my setting, I thought I was off center, so I kept trying to center myself. So I'm like, ooh, ooh, yeah, that's driving me nuts. If someone has the internet in front of them, I can't. I'm on the air. But this is, you know what? I need a, what's that guy called? Uh, Not everyone's a fan, but I know I've heard, and I don't even watch him that much, but I've heard Joe Rogan refer to someone off camera. Says, look that up for me. I need that person. But whatever One Eye Atlas was nicknamed, it was believed to be an old starship or a starbase or an observation platform to look at Earth. And this is our third interstellar body that we recorded to come tumbling through. And um Umamu. Yeah, Umamu. I think that is correct. Eddie got it all right. I think that's correct. If it isn't, my apologies. I'm so sorry, space nerds. I apologize. I should be a better space nerd myself. But so there was all the suspicion about what was going on, about what these things were, and the for what reason 2 Eye Atlas got almost zero press, almost zero press, and I think that's the one that actually schemed our atmosphere to a degree, or came close to it. Um, and I think Australia did the night shot, and you can see the thing fly by. But then we have 3 Eye Atlas, which is, some say, exhibited strange behavior. Umamu, thank you. Umamu, Omua. Oh, okay. Gosh, I have Polynesian family, and they're gonna be ticked. I can't say that. And OV's here. Hey, how's it going? I just noticed you there. Hi. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Anyway, so the behavior noted or reported was, according to, and this is what gets me, either there's a mass conspiracy or everyone out there says in the space, like the various space agencies, including ours, including China's, including Europe's, including France's and Spain's and a few others. I said Europe, but there's the European one, and then there's the individual countries have theirs too, in Australia and a few others. Just go, yep, another rock going through space, and they're not really saying too much about it. Umu, amu, ah. Umu, omo, omo. Oh, okay. That's easy. That was the first one. Anyway, so if they're doing the big yawn on the whole thing, Either they're purposely not saying anything or they just don't think it's a thing, other than that it's fascinating that it came from outside our solar system. Things to consider. Um, well, and thank you to Kevin. He gave me this so I can sound it out. Oumuamua. Thank you, Kevin. So, um, so I don't know. Am I missing the boat on this, ladies and gentlemen? Is this? Am I so stuck in my ways that from working at NASA and knowing how these things behave that I'm just imprinting on this behavior? It's like, yeah, it's a rock. Pfft, big deal. Yeah, it's from interstellar space. That's cool. Or do you believe perhaps there is something strange happening with 3i Atlas? There are a lot of coincidences associated with it, but none of it has been backed up. Okay. Boy, okay. Heidi gave me this, and yes, thank you. Yes, seriously, Kevin, that was amazing. Heidi gave me this. Let me see my comment. No, Heidi, I did miss your comment. It's so windy here. Did the wind knock out the transmissions? It could be. So, one eye was Oumuamua. Two eye was Borisov. I think I called it Boromaline or something like that before. And then there's Atlas, which is interesting because Atlas is the Chilean asteroid something near Earth, something something. I mean, I'm messing that up too. But yeah, we haven't given this thing a name yet, which is interesting. It's just named after the telescope that found it. And yeah, that's kind of crazy. But it's still interesting to note that it has captured everyone's imagination. And then there's the other side of this whole thing that they think. Okay, I should say, some have intimated that this particular astral body, it that's a big hard word for me to say, astral body, is going to has made corrections going at from sublight speeds to whatever it's traveling at, about 2 million miles an hour, give or take. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. I'll get into that in a second, Kevin. I'm gonna put a little star next to that so I know the note it. But it supposedly slowed its speed down, altered its trajectory significantly, and no one was really coming out against that. Uh, which is interesting. You think the space agencies, at least one of them, would have said, um, "That's complete and total horsepucky. That's not happening," and then left it at that. But no one dismissed any of these strange claims, and it was that's the part that struck me as weird. Okay, yes, and I kind of agree with what Heidi just put up there. I'll put it up too. Hey, vet girl, what's it going? She said hi. Um, your hands are busy. Oh, I get it. I get it. But Heidi said this, that the UPRN has become the only thing on her trust list as far as information. Well, again, everything with a grain of salt, but I'm kind of with you there too. I have to turn to my fellow hosts here on the UPRN and say, "What do you know about that? What do you think about this?" And they'll be honest with me, but it's still mostly, while educated in most respects, a guess. A well interpreted guess. I mean, educated guess for sure, but I mean, you can put things together in such a way multiple ways. It all depends on your perspective. So that's something you kind of have to grain of salt, take things with a grain, especially in the mainstream, especially even independent news. And so I don't blame Heidi for thinking that way. UPRN is the only place to get your truth. I would love to make that claim. In fact, I'm this close to making that claim anyway officially, but I'm with you. I'm with you, Heidi. It's definitely hard to determine all these things. And Kevin actually speaks to that it's hard to tell what's real or not with all the video manipulation and how wonderful AI has gotten at making things look real. They just released something I think was on. I'm not the biggest AI guy either. It's called When or something like that, or When 2. Apparently, the stuff coming out of there is way wildly crisp and clear and hard to determine. So, yep, it challenges your trust for sure. Um, it is definitely hard to take everything into consideration. And to this day, I still get people because I'm a filmmaker, because I deal with not reality, non-reality all the time. I make stories up for people to enjoy. Um, uh, yes, Heidi, I haven't agreed with mainstream media in a very long time, and I'm very selective about the independent sources I use, um, including UPRN. But I forgot my train of thought. I just lost my train of thought. Anyway. Oh yeah, people ask me things all the time. It's like, hey, is this real? Is this real? Is that real? And for the, it depends on what I'm looking at. I'll give you an example, and I knew this was coming up in the podcast because I would have shown the example. But you have probably seen these traces of light in rows roaming through this cloudy sky and that reflect on the sky. And you usually have a building kind of in the distance, maybe elevated slightly, or has a second story. And you see the lights going, and they're blurry, right? From your perspective, they're blurry here, but you just saw my room, from blurry here, but they get clear as they get further away. Well, my friends, that is a projection. Someone's running the party. If they had the sound, I probably would have heard boom, 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 music going. There were just projections being flashed in the sky, and it's not that hard to do if you have a powerful enough projector. And you don't even need to have a projector. It's basically the mirror ball effect on its side, running vertically across, or horizontally rather. Yeah, being shown vertically and cast horizontally on the cloud cover. So, that was one. I had to debunk 3 of those. Different patterns, different lights, different locations. One was in India, one was in Peru, one was in Canada. Don't quote me on that last one. But, the same phenomenon kept cropping up. Oh, we have UFOs. No, you have dance lights. I'm sorry. Just a mirror ball effect. And other such things have come my way. Now there's a few things I've gone, yeah, that's weird. I don't know what the heck's going on there. Best guess is X, Y, and Z. But I digress. Let's move on through our list because I'm enjoying these conversations immensely. And the next thing we talked about after the great comet 3I Atlas, or interstellar body 3I Atlas, was its path, which is pretty cool. There it is. Yay. So I'll play this real quick in the background so you guys can see it a little bit better. Let me zoom it. But, yeah, that's its entire path. It's pretty innocuous, really. But I digress. Let us move on to what we talked about next. That was, I think it's about alien species. Yep, there we go. There's the large-eyed people that I, for one, have witnessed. Well, they weren't Nordics like that. Their hair wasn't blonde like it's depicted there. Nor was there a saucer flying around in the background, but the eyes were possibly that big. Both the individuals I saw wore oversized sunglasses. So, yep, put that food out, Kevin. Go for it. That's fine. Um, yeah, it's dinner time for some folk. But so my people had, oh, I miss my hair. Had stark white hair. I mean, stark white hair. Platinum, I guess, is the best way to describe it. These girls were definitely yellow blonde, you know. Um, and it was, um, well, you know, it's still a heck of an experience to see these creatures live. And again, the super long fingers, the Jedi people, as Heidi has come to call them. That's good stuff. Uh, so yeah, I mean, these creatures alone, and they're not the normal ones you see, not the tall whites, but you know, they're decidedly humanoid. The humanoid hominid, I guess, is the more correct way to put it. I mean, to say humanoid's a little centrist, but you know, it's what we know. So they look like us. They have basically our facial structure, basically our body structure. The eyes are represented as being a little bit bigger. And I've heard both reports speak to that between the girls here and these ladies. Men, ladies, I don't know. They look very androgynous to me. Uh, I couldn't tell, but sorry, I just don't have the eyes for that. But not to offend, but you know, still we have the same basic idea. We have hominids, people, humans. I borrowed that from Star Trek, who have relatively very close features. Hmm. Okay, I want to put that up, Heidi. Again, we call them the Jedi's because they wore robes, not because they exercised any odd powers or anything. The lady I saw had yellow blonde hair, but super short and pulled back. I transposed some of those words, sorry. The Jedi's and the lady experiences were a few months apart from me. Oh, fascinating. That's fascinating. Mine happened once in 2002. It was just amazing. But given that these people right there, oh, the camera blocked me off. Where is it? There it is, over there. And she had a cap on. Definitely didn't know what season to dress for. Okay, hold on. I gotta put that up, Heidi. That's pretty cool. I will read. The lady, so she saw the Jedi couple and then the lady, she had a cap on. And definitely didn't know what season to dress for. She had on a scarf, but short, but super short shorts. Was she hot or she cold? How's she rolling? Oh, she didn't get it. Interesting. Interesting. Huh. It almost sounds like someone was lost. Like they were from Burning Man or something like that. Not the cap on Burning Man, folk, but yeah, you do attract some interesting characters out there. Um, Gotta get letters for that one. Um, but there is, you know, it's interesting that yeah, they don't get it. They're in space. I mean, a lot. I might if I have to look at these individuals here and make a judgment call of what their life is like. They are in space a lot. They're not exposed to natural sunlight all that much. You know, especially if their ships look like this. You know, with uh the solid. Let me do this. With the, I did not mean to do that. Slide only. There we go. with a ship with no windows, apparently. Yeah, I'd be a little pasty too. Plus, there's not your ship providing such protections may be kind of limited. So why add windows just to irradiate yourselves all over again? Um, but yeah, I look all pasty too, for sure. I'm not gonna lie, they look like a '90s mod band or something. But I digress. Oh, Heidi added more. I want to hear more about this lady. Um, the shorts she was wearing showed her long legs, and she kind of walked like a bird, and was hiding from the guy she was following. Interesting. So, did she have that thing, that weird head cocking thing that birds do, or was she stepping in such a way that it kind of resembled a flamingo or something like that? Oh, interesting. She okay. Walking kind of bird-like weird and was hiding from the guy she was following. Oh, such odd behavior. We made eye contact while I was sitting in the driver's seat, waiting on my ta-da. And that's where I lost it. Daughter. Sorry, there's a part two here. Um, Daughter to buck up my granddaughter. So she just stepped. No, her legs were backwards. Wait, what? Really? Like an actual bird? They were backwards? Really? But had a humanoid top. Oh, that's insane. Wow, that's what a weird evolutionary step. Huh. That's kind of interesting. Interesting. Okay, I'd like to hear more about that idea. Um, Perhaps off the air, but I, nonetheless, I want to hear more about it. But okay, so the Nordics may have bird-like legs. That's a new development exposed right here on Paranormal Insight, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of cool. My first thought was that she was walking like that. Oh, I see. I get it. But she actually had the backwards knees. Okay, compared chicken legs, basically. Real chicken legs, ish, in the structure more than anything. Okay, okay. That's that's pretty crazy right there. I dig it. That's not you're crazy. The idea is kind of wow. That's awesome. I dig it. But we went from the Nordics and then we looked at the scary reptilian people, which yeah. Why is she walking like that? Sorry, let's go back to the Nordics here real quick. Why is she walking like that? That's just so. Yeah. Well, I got a picture of the cat because I clicked on it because you guys are quick on the chat. Um, Heidi will make that chat happen for sure. If you want to stay on after we can do a little bit here. Um, or maybe I can even invite you into the video conference at one point. We can do it after the show if you want, and we can talk from there. I've been wanting to have you on my show for a while, like legitimately. So maybe we can make that happen. Um, yeah, that'd be fun. But let's move on to the other things we discussed. So we have and then we have our iguana evolutionary here. I don't know what AI just had a lot of fun, basically. I think it's like, you know what? They keep talking about this lizard man. This is the closest thing I can get. The Spock ears don't make sense to me, but who knows? I mean, normal lizards don't have. I beg your pardon. Oh, so sorry. Don't really have ears like that. And to be honest, it doesn't make sense for a reptilian species to have ears like that. Maybe ears like yours, maybe, but reduced, more pressed against the head and integrate with the skin and stuff. But to have them, you know, sticking out like elf ears, I don't know about that. Um, But nonetheless, this creature here has been talked about forever. I mentioned LA in the 30s where they sent expeditions down to look for the source of these guys. And it was derailed at one point. Oh, and fascinatingly, okay, it's called the Mish Mosh episode for a reason. Hold on. Let me dig in here. Um, there's a side conspiracy to that particular expedition where they went looking for the lizard people, and I'll keep them up there in the background. The story goes that the lead expedition person, whose name completely escapes me, I want to say Figueroa, but I could be wrong about that. But because I think that's who the street's named after. But anyway, so he mounts this expedition, and the first leg of it is pretty well documented in the papers, and they even have maps that are drawn up. And the funny thing is, they find that the Los Angeles underground, aside from the sewers, have a series of tunnels. I'll say that again. Besides the sewers, there were other tunnels down there, and they weren't maintenance tunnels. These things were not the same because the sewer tunnels were made of brick, and these other tunnels were made of somehow or smoothed over. It almost resembled like a plaster. We don't do that. We have very rarely ever done that. Maybe recently in some cases, but to plaster and smooth out the inside of these tunnels, which were virtually circular, except for a walking path, were nothing short of astounding. It's like we've never seen it. And they were bigger too. So there were sewer tunnels, they ended, and then I think there was a grate put up because the engineer said, I don't know what to do with this, so they just put up a grate on a door, or full grate, and they had to cut through the grate in order to continue the exploration. And I think that's what kind of started the trouble. It's like, you're messing up the whole sewer system. And back reading above. Oh, okay. Yes. We will. I'll get into that in this. Whoops! I yanked the earpiece out of my head. Get back to the Oregon tunnels, and the old Shanghai tunnels in Oregon are another fun thing, and they weren't just used for Shanghai people, but because LA, they were just separate tunnels. Like suddenly, they're doing the brickwork in the sewers, and that's kind of how they found some of these entrances. Is they had to look at the sewer plans and talk to some of the engineers who installed them, like maybe a decade or two back, and said, "Yeah, what happened when you hit this end? There was a bit of the tunnel continued, but we just sealed it off. Either they bricked it up, put a grate in, or they put a door in, depending on what someone or like whatever the city supervisor really orchestrated as to what was feasible. Orchestrated? Anyway. So, the first leg is pretty well documented. When they said, we're going to the second part at this port, and they never got a report back. What happened to the underground plan? What happened to the plan to explore? We saw all these tunnels being, explored, but we never heard anything back. Is the expedition still on? And then the story just kept fading further back into the back pages of the paper until it just wasn't feasible to continue discussing it because it was basically buried. But the initial reports of these guys being seen in the tunnels of Los Angeles, I mean, through the street grates now, because back then they were a little more open about, they weren't the covered over thing. They were actually just like metal bars that went with the curve of the curbs, where the sidewalks were, if they had even had sidewalks, or they were really big grates that the street lights would shine down into. And you could see very clearly the waters running through the tributaries, and sometimes you'd see a scurrying little lizard guy going, "What's up?" And they'll look up at you, maybe hiss at you, I don't know, and go from there. But going back to other tunnel locations, tunnels under Denver, sure. I've heard about those too. Certainly heard of the Shanghai tunnels in Oregon and Seattle. So rather in Seattle, and I've heard of the Oregon tunnels too. Although the Portland, Oregon, was it Portland? I think it is Portland. It's supposed to have some Shanghai tunnels of their own, but case wrong. I don't know too much about the Oregon tunnels. I know a little bit more about the Shanghai tunnels in Seattle. But going back, let's see. Shihang. Blonde hair and road has too honey. No, mine look human though. Excuse me. Okay, there's some fun stuff happening in the chat that I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what a Shihang is. Spelled Shehang. I don't know what that is. Off the top of my head, I don't anyway. So they're talking about that in the chat. Lagoonish. Those tunnels, I believe, are definitely haunted. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Oh yeah, there was an investigation, a few investigations done of the Oregon Shanghai tunnel, the Shanghai tunnels. There's some wicked stuff because the underground was literally underground, and you could get away with pretty much anything down there. There were even started to. I want to use the word gentrify, but that's the wrong word. Like they were starting to put, yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, water bearer. What? This guy look lagoonish water bearer. Sorry, bits and pieces in the chat are grabbing my attention. I'm not really following what's happening. It's like I'm hearing one side of one person's conversation. I'm just kind of missing some of the context. But anyway, yeah, the Shanghai tunnels definitely haunted, and they had specific entries into it at one point. It was like, because I think there was a brothel set up downstairs, down in the underground, and basically you can get away with anything down there, including Shanghai people apparently. But you know, for all of our encounters with other beings, and including the guys like this who seem to be the common denominator. Sorry, chat distracted me again. The common, these guys seem to be, I don't know, the ones we see the most or hear about the most, especially in abduction recall. Again, I like this photo because we see the collar right there. Let me zoom in a pinch. You can see the collar of the space suit, so to speak, which I find fascinating, super fascinating. So, yeah, allow me to digress, and I shall. And then we have Doorbell Guy. Now, okay, Doorbell Guy, I think, is a puppet from a movie. I'm not even close to kidding you because I've seen that mug before. For sure. For sure. Shanghai. Yeah. Shanghai. Oh, Shanghai. Yeah. Sorry. Catching up in the chat. Yeah. Yes, Heidi. Those are the tunnels you were talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, horrible stuff. So let's talk about Doorbell Guy for a second. Because Doorbell Guy is, I think it's an animatronic of some sort or some sort of advanced puppet. Mostly because, and as I zoom in on his creepy face, not only does he have a rather humanoid face, but the manipulation was kind of puppet-like. I wish I had the full visual of him interacting. Not only that, there were some people drinking back there. But then I want you to look at the body. The body. It looks like someone just wrapped a rag around their arm and is puppeteering the thing. Like, or a terry cloth towel. That doesn't look like skin to me. It's like a towel of some sort. And it's going to be completely black and white. I wish I had the foresight to do the color transposition where you look at the gray scale and it can actually assign colors to it. And that's how they colorize older movies nowadays. It's a fascinating process. We are comparing notes on the blonde lady in the chat. Everyone's ignoring what I have to say. So I kind of want to get into this now. The blonde lady in my dreams was wearing a light green robe and red scarf, and whatever else she had on was not clear. Mid-dream, for some reason, she would appear out of the blue and interact with my dream people. Great way to put it. And it happened a few times, he says, and that is fascinating, for sure. Looks like someone's chihuahua. I'm gonna put that up there, bad girl. yeah. Someone's chihuahua who went through a freaking blender. But I digress. So yeah, if that's someone's dog, man, your dog's got issues, man. Let me tell you. Pretty funny stuff. Chihuahua, I dig it. Then we got Bug Guy again. Stacks well with the Hopi Indian stuff, legends. I think better than Ant. I think they were looking at Mantis people if they were looking at anyone. Yes, I do. I see it. Someone's chihuahua. I threw a blender. Oh man, that's pretty. That's just the best. Yes, I do. That's incredible. But sorry, going back to the doorbell guy. Now we're on insect guy. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Hopis were again unfamiliar with what a mantis was, and that perhaps our ant people, beg your pardon, was actually a mantis. But I digress from that. Okay, so this actually brings this image here. Ant chatter. Yep. Yeah, doorbell guy does kind of remind me of E.T. as well. Sherry. Ant chatter again. Yep, ant chatter for sure. Oh, that reminds me, Kevin. Perhaps you've seen this more. But have you ever seen that experiment where you take two solo cups, the red ones, right, that you use at parties, you tape them together, bottoms together, and you put a spring of some sort at the bottom of one, and you cup it over an insect, a bee, in a couple of different cases online, and you can hear them. You can hear this chattering going on. It's pretty incredible. And they did it two different times. And one guy said, to prove I'm not making this up, he moved the mic away from the solo cups and put it back over the solo cups. And that could have been manipulated in post, but it was strange because he had the background that was going and everything just matched up so beautifully. It made it hard to believe it was fake. Yes. Oh, I'm grateful for you too, Heidi, and all of you in the chat. Actually, you're fantastic. So yeah, I think Kevin's onto something about the bugs being chitter chatters, like all the time. Would I had the ability to translate what they were saying? get this stupid cup off me. What the heck are you doing? I'm still alive down here. Okay, I digress. So, I can't remember why I stuck with this image, and then it popped into my head. Let me zoom in on it a little bit. It actually is related to the three-eye atlas thing, the conspiracies out there. Yeah, it does kind of say. Sorry, I got to put that up, Kevin. Yes, my little chit chat thing. Yeah, it sounds like that's what I imagined in my head, and then I thought about the solo cup test. So that's cool. Okay, now we have an idea, but we gotta translate that stuff. But anyway, so one of the theories behind Three Eye Atlas was that it was a ship coming to, and this is actually some remote viewers said this, and some psychic folks said this. Again, for me, it's a rock, but they said that they were out to the Three Eye Atlas was the vehicle through which all the Star Children would be activated and or taken home. Okay, so a couple of thoughts on that. If I don't think it is, but if Three Eye Atlas does have that mission to activate and or return the Star Children home. For those who don't know what Star Children are, they are the people that are, and I guess technically I'm one of them, who have a sense of and perhaps confirmation of being souls and or individuals who were put here on Earth specifically to enhance mankind. Now, I say I'm one of them because of my experience, where, and I mentioned this on the show before, I went to a group of psychics, and my goal was to get over being afraid of ghosts, because I'm a paranormal investigator. Can't have me go, every time I saw something weird. I've seen a lot of weird stuff in my time, especially as a paranormal investigator, so I'm very grateful to have this experience. But I was put into a very light trance where I was aware of everything, and I wasn't in a deep slumber, but I was super relaxed. Yeah. Yeah, to continue my story. That's great. That's good stuff, Kevin. So they were coming to take me away. No, sorry, that was his line. So super light trance. They said, tell me about your early childhood stuff. Anything weird happened to you? And I recounted to these psychics the female ghost I saw when I was 3 or 4, the psychic phenomena I've experienced throughout my life. And that's too funny. I like that too. Sorry, I didn't leave that up long enough. Yeah, beat me up. And they said, okay, let's go further back to your first life, to the life before this one. That's what he said. Sorry, the chat's killing me here. You guys are comedic geniuses. This is what Kevin just put up. That's awesome. So anyway, what happened in your past life? And I recount my tale. How, where are you? I'm not here on Earth. And it's like, whoa, okay, tell us how that works. And so I said, so I guided them from Earth at their request, take us to your planet. And I said, well, best way to get there is to head through the constellation of Orion to the nebula that rests behind it, right? And then once you're in the nebula, head toward the center a little bit, and then come out and go straight to the other side. So it's basically a lightning bolt shape. It wasn't a crow's path at all, but this is the best way to get there. I think that's how the ships, if there were any that traveled to Earth, were that's the path they were taking. Anyway, suddenly I'm in a different culture. I'm a different person. I'm a warp theory specialist of some sort. That's how I'm saying it now. So the chat's killing me. You guys are awesome. Um, but my job was to test new mechanisms for going FTL. Anyway, uh, which is pretty cool. But the the culture, because I took an opportunity to look out the window and look at my culture. It was kind of like Coruscant from Star Wars, except there was a bunch of Egyptian stuff there. I mean, old school hieroglyphs. There was a commercial playing on a larger screen about preparations for the afterlife, and they had the big gold sarcophagus, fanciful gold sarcophaguses like we keep finding in Egypt. It was bizarre. And the women's eyes did the thing. The men had the eye makeup too. It was crazy stuff. It was really cool, and I called them the Orions. But I think if my vision and dream or past life or whatever it is equals anything, it's that culture influenced Egyptian culture pretty significantly too. But as the story proceeds, there's a shift between the embracing of science and the embracing of religion, including going back to the older religions. Um, and religion in a new election kind of won the religious supporters. The supporters of the religion in states of office won the recent elections, so they were basically turning back the clock. It's like, okay, no, religion comes first and then science. And there was a huge brouhaha. There were riots in the street over this, which is bizarre because you think an advanced culture like that, like the one I was witnessing, again, you take a look at Star Wars, go to, where they go to Coruscant and how advanced everything is, and then kind of it's pretty much a pretty even transposition. Um, but they still have riots in the streets and protests, and no one wants to go backwards, yada yada yada. And I spoke out on the side of science, being a scientist, as this other person. I don't even know what my name was, but um, I was censured and sent away to a soul recycling uh, I don't know, station, because it was a space station. If you take DS9 and you take all this thick, heavy armored bits and you compress it down to really skinny parts, that's kind of what it looked like. Kind of. It didn't have as many rings though, just one ring. And this thing caught souls. So it said in my dream, caught souls coming from my world, respun them or recycled them somehow, and shot them back toward my home planet. Well, I was sentenced to a life of servitude there. I sabotaged the machine at the last minute for my signature. When my soul enters the matrix, it's going to kick me out somewhere else, and it sent me toward Earth. And that's how I came to be Tim Sodato, apparently. So I think that qualifies me as a star child, according to some people, anyway. Um, I don't know, if I get superpowers, I'll let you know. So let's let's leave Three Eye Atlas behind us for now. The interaction. So we also discussed this a little bit, but there is um, a story that's kind of related to that picture. Um, and it has actually something to do with our reptilian friends, and it was cataloged and captured. Yeah. Okay. Kevin said something kind of interesting before we. That sounds so familiar, Tim. The soul catching thing. Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, it's not the first time I've heard that story either. It was the first time I had heard it when it came out of my mouth as I was describing it to these guys. But I had since heard others who said the exact same thing, which is super bizarre to me. It was like, wow, okay, so maybe that was real. It wasn't just a figment. Yeah. They do kind of look like kids, I know. But interestingly, let's take a closer look at this image here. You may remember a story, and I think it was on the Reptilians, believe it or not, on one of those paranormal shows that look at, was it Ancient Aliens or something like that? It was something like that. Anyway, this isn't exactly a match to what the picture says, but except for there's a kid involved. And it was mom's home video. What you doing, little Sammy? I can't remember the kid's name. And Sammy says, I'm playing with my friend. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Kevin says this. Yeah, we will. So when mom's filming Sammy, I'm playing with my friend. And his friend is in a little cupboard where they keep towels and stuff. And she says, and what's your friend's name? And he looks to the thing, to the cupboard. How kids do, a lot of them have imaginary friends anyway. So it's not too hard for him to. Oh, he says his name. He says, you can't pronounce it. Okay. Well, hello, Sammy's friend. And she gets low. And on the video, you see there's a hole in the wall. And so here's the closet, the pantry, or wherever they keep the towels, right? It's open. And in the wall next to this cabinet or storage space is a hole in the wall. Big one, too. Big enough for a kid to crawl through. And you see this creature in there, and they kind of look like these guys a little bit. More reptilian, though. And I think, yeah. Definitely an elongated head, I think. And we see these yellowish eyes kind of go wide for a second and zoof, dash back inside. And mom grabs Sammy and yanks him out of the way. Oh my God! She runs away. And they analyze this video over and over again. It's like, that wasn't a dog. It certainly wasn't a cat. And the fact that it had a hand, they caught a hand on the edge of the plaster on the inside of this storage area. They kept the towels, and the hand retracts back, and it's got 3 fingers. It was a pretty cool video. I wish I could find that, but it seems to have disappeared from the internet because I did go looking for it. But suffice it to say, that's just kind of weird stuff. I mean, so there are definitely things out there happening to people all the time, including yours truly, and to my guests here. So, let me ask you guys if you have anything to add. You've talked about the Jedi people or the robed tall whites. We've talked about people from alternate dimensions, the lion people, and we've talked about dreams or visions we've been having about even weirder stuff in the chat. You, unfortunately, at home are not privy to the chat unless you were here live. But maybe you can read the transposition. I don't know if that happens on YouTube or not, but, if it does, fantastic. So if you have any final questions for me, I got a minute. I'm waiting. I'm kidding. Okay. No one's really chiming in right now. I'll give it another second or two. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm not hearing anything from you. And if I do, and it's after the show goes off the air, I'll hang out in the chat for a couple minutes because Heidi and I were going to talk for a minute. But I think that's it for the evening, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you so much for watching and for listening. My name is Tim Sedano. This is Paranormal Insight, and we will see you next week. I might be a pre-record next week, just by the way. Next couple weeks, actually, because I'm shooting a movie soon. And my beard will look different when I come back because I had to color it. So just so you know, that's why. Talk to y'all soon, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.